Hi folks, and welcome back to part 2 of the daily D6 session. And we finished off the first part with the end of game turn 2, so we're going to go straight back into the action, the start of game turn 3. As you remember, rolling D6 to see who gets the initiative for the start of the turn. Once again, blue dice for the Bavarians. Would you believe it? And the Bavarians have the initiative again, so they're going to be attacking. So once again, roll the dice now to see how many of their units can be activated, and that'll be 4 again. So deciding on what to do, and going to move these guys, and they can move in column, and they can actually move double distance when they're in column. So that's two squares for them. That's one of the 4, and just going to continue the general movement forward. 2, 3, 4. That'll be for the Bavarians, and roll the dice now for activations for the Prussians and see what they can do. 1. But that'll do. Going to move once again the Prussian light. One thing I did forget, because these guys are skirmish, they can actually move twice the speed as well, so they can actually move 2 hexes at a time, which I forgot to do for the first 2 moves of the game, but never mind. So we'll rectify that, and we'll move them 1 and 2, swinging around a bit on the flank of the advancing Bavarians. And that pretty much ties down turn 3. And we will continue with turn 4. Once again, rolling dice for initiative. Prussians. Sorry, Bavarians again, I should say. Bavarians with the blue dice. Got to try and remember that one. They get the initiative again, and see how many activations. 1 this time, which yeah, interesting. I think probably best use is to move them into line. One of the rules, trying to explain the rules as I go through the game, because I know a couple of people are interested in how the game plays. So the reason I've done that is because obviously units in line fire much better than units in column. So that's it for the Bavarians. I'm going to roll now to see what the Prussians get. This time they get 5. I think, do I move? I think I'm going to start moving the cavalry forward, just to entice the Bavarians to come down and have a bit of a fight. Do I leave the rest of them, or should I? I think what I'll do is I'll just have a general advance. I know we're in defence. I know we're fighting in a defence, but it's 1, 2, 3, 4. I haven't moved those, but I could, but I'm not going to. So I'm going to try and see what the Bavarians do, and then swing in on the flank. So there we have it for game turn 4. Hope everyone's enjoying the distraction of watching me roll some dice and move some figures around. I know it's certainly helping out myself, because, as I say, we're all finding ourselves spending far too much time indoors these days, but you know how it is. We've got to do our bit, ladies and gentlemen, so you know, staying indoors isn't that much of a chore. So I'm just moving the board slightly forward, because the camera angle is a bit static, and I'm trying to see if I can get a little bit more of the board in. There you go. So yeah, so now we'll have game turn 5, rattling on nicely. Ranges, if anyone is interested, artillery, which we don't have on the board, but I'll say it anyway. Artillery is 5 hexes for the field guns and 3 hexes for horse guns. Musketry fire is 2 hexes, so they've got to be pretty close. Relatively quite close, really, for 10mm figures. But I just, because we're playing on a quite compact board, and you know, I could probably get away with 6 units on this board. Wanted to keep the ranges down relatively small. So that's what we've got. Also, I've actually noticed I haven't actually been moving the cavalry very well, because in theory they should be able to move much faster than this. But you know, what the hell? Maybe next time. So let's start with game turn 5. And let's roll dice again. Blue dice, remember, for the Bavarians. Awesomely dropped it on the floor. And that's a 6 for the Bavarians. They're really doing well for the initiative. So once again, activations. 6 this time, that's handy. I'm going to keep the movement of the horses the same for everyone else now, so I'm not going to alter it. So horses in theory should be able to move at least 2, maybe even more for light horses, hexes that is, but I'm just going to keep it to 1. I've been doing this long enough now. So 6. Yeah, I think it's going to be a general sort of slide towards the Prussian line for the Bavarians. And the horses are going to come downhill and head towards the Prussian cavalry. So that'll do. Oh, no, I will move the command. Haven't quite worked out the distances for the command radiuses, whether or not it's going to be sort of 2, 3 or 4 hexes for influence. But mainly once we come towards the game, you'll notice these red and blue counters coming out. The red one is a damage counter, the other one is a shaken counter. We'll show those when it comes in, but mainly the job for the commander is basically to keep his troops going. So at the end of a turn, we would be rolling the dice to see whether we can remove any of these shaken tokens from their command. Damage tokens cannot be removed. They basically get 2, 3 damage tokens to a unit, and the unit is removed. But we'll get onto that when we start rolling some dice for firing and hand to hand. Firing is done in turn, as you remember, with the activations. So if I were to decide this unit wanted to fire, I wouldn't be able to move, and I'd have to wait for the second phase of activation for them to fire. Third activation on the game is the actual combat, which means that if a unit was in combat, which means they'd have to be next to each other, they both roll a dice. So combat is simultaneous, so both sides can take damage and having to react to damage while the combat phase is being played. But let's roll the dice for the Prussians. Finish off turn 5 because we're heading up for 8 minutes, and just want to finish this one round off, and then I'll call the video done for today's action of the D6. So Prussians get 3 activations, and I'm going to use one to move my Prussian Uhlans, and I'm going to start moving my Prussian lights off the hill and try and take some pot shots at some of the Bavarian troops as they march past. And that's pretty much it. So that's it for game turn 5, and I'm gonna finish the session for today on the game turn 5. So as always, thanks for taking the time to watch the little video. I hope it's been fun watching it, because it's certainly been fun rolling some dice today. And I hope to join you again tomorrow with another session of D6 rolling. So as always, bye for now, and please take care everyone. Bye bye.